income.
Yeah.
Where I can sit at home and watch, 100 hours of aquaponics videos.
He's got an enhanced IQ and crazy.
One of the things that John Tomlinson, one of the things that's very important when we look at migration is that migrants need the greatest amount of help in the time immediately after migrating, whether from one country to another, one city to another, one state to another. To judge whether or not you're going to pay people who are migrants a basic income, if they're permanent residents, there is no justification. Their contribution to the society is judged over their entire lifetime, not the first 5 minutes of arrival. And to suggest that all Australians who get the age pension have made a contribution to this society is a nonsense. Some did, some didn't.
Can I get it back?
Okay, so just one more small little thing. I actually didn't know that subsidised or government housing was available in Australia at all until recently. Now, if you can't get people to move out to Broken Hill or wherever broke-ass mining town because there's no jobs, why not make it say, okay, you can move out here just so we can build up the population, give people a basic income, and just start the population that way. Literally create economic growth from ground up. Why not?
There's actually programs at the moment, $1 a year rent in rural towns.
Oh, wow.
You can get it. If you really want to move to a rural town, you can get it there, but it's conditional, like James was saying.
What's the infrastructure like?
They want you to build infrastructure, they want you to teach, they want you to be a member of the community that's not going to leave after a year.
And even then it's still a choice. I think the main objection to why don't we make people go out there is because you're making people do things to get basic human rights.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
That's the main objection.
Thanks a lot for all those great talks and contributions. Just a couple of things on the productivity question that was raised down here. I think the truth is that on the basis of all the empirical evidence, we don't have proof of what would happen when you implement a universal basic income for an entire economy. We have all those studies that are very small, few thousand people here, few hundred people there, but you can't really draw very strong conclusions from that evidence for what would happen if we have a universal basic income in Australia. So to some extent, for advocates of basic income, you have to be prepared to, learn by doing. Basic income has to be somewhat experimental. Right? You introduce it at a certain level and see what the effects, how the innovation effect and the demand effect of introducing additional income is offset by a labour supply response that could be positive or negative. So I think that that's something we have to be prepared to face up to, that you can't say categorically the productivity effect would be one thing or another. And the final other thing, it'd be really good if for one of our meetings in the future we had a sort of costing type meeting. For example, because that 35 billion, it's great you've done this calculations, it sounds tiny to me. So it'd be good to see all of the
mining subsidies,
contributions.
Tax subsidies. That's 35 billion easy.
No, that's great. Thanks for that. And I was going to say something, I forgot. Agreed completely. Actually, I was thinking while James was speaking, and you said the same thing. One of the earlier intentions that I had with this group, I originally called the Facebook group just implementing a basic income because that's my objective. I want to see it happen. I don't want to just talk about it and all pat ourselves on our back because we're all right. I want to see it done. So the original objective that I set was to create a weekend seminar or something and bring in experts, economic policy, social experts, to debate and try and come up with a policy framework that we could sell to a think tank, to a party, whatever. This is still a viable option, though part of me thinks, thanks to Finland and Netherlands, we can just sort of sit back a little bit and watch what happens. They're running the experiment for us and we'll get a lot of data from that. So I think it still makes sense to go forward on that idea because Australia is going to be different, so we should think about it from Australia's perspective. But we aren't going to be implementing anything before they do. They've already started the ball rolling. So we've got the advantage now of just being able to watch, and that's very exciting.
I think as well, it's really hard to prove that something works. It's only easy to prove it doesn't work. But the burden of proof is on the other side. So, like, I'm a geneticist. I make GMOs. We have no scientific research that says GMOs are bad for people's health, but people still want them labelled. Who here would eat a GMO? Just put it in your hand. Who here would think twice when they put it in their mouth, even if they're confident that the science is okay? Yeah. I would actually have like a second thought about like, you know, even though I make these things.
When you use me on the track, it's going to be a different matter.
That's right, and that's nothing other than social pressure saying that it's not okay, even though I've read all the science and it's fine. And on that reason, it's like how many studies saying basic income does work do you have to have before you implement it?
Statistically significant. 20 countries.
Well, based on the evidence against, it's already significant. So.
Sorry to interrupt. So great presentation, really thought-provoking, and I suppose this is a question/statement. So, is income / money / cash actually the problem, or is that just a symptom of what are we actually looking to achieve? And is it more around educating? I know this is more. Is it more a systematic issue, and is giving a basic income going to solve the problem, or is it just going to create a different problem with a different name? I don't know. That's
the framework is the problem.
Oh, yeah.
That's a problem. Now I wanted to respond to Peter because he is the perfect example of using the existing framework. James as the perfect example of using the current framework to criticize the universal basic income / even citizens' dividend. Because when I talk about citizens' dividend, citizen means one is a person who inhabits a community. You could be a citizen of the world. I'm an immigrant.
Who pays for it?
And I came here on a carer's visa. I cared for my parents who are Australian. And I also had an art scholarship for a PhD. And I'm a perfect example of someone living a citizen's dividend. I believe it's a dividend by not the virtue of my talent, but by the virtue of my existence as a human being on this planet. That's what the dividend is. And that's where the framework begins. You do not have to be forced to earn for your existence. You exist.
Good on you.
And if you look at even before history, if you had you have the freedom to work for yourself and not be forced to work for anyone. That freedom has been taken away.
Absolutely.
What we are looking for is an economic framework to restore that natural freedom that society, by producing the wrong frameworks, took away from us.
Yes.
Okay, so based on that, just a quick comment about where's the money going to come from. Every great thing we've ever done, ever, has always cost a crap ton of money, and it's always been more than we had. Like, when the US put people on the moon, what was that? What did that achieve? Like, how much money did it cost? Like, yet it was one of the greatest things we ever did. Now, you know, when I look to the future, I don't go, okay, well, yeah, it's going to cost a lot of money. Who's going to pay for it? But I think, okay, where's it going to get us by giving us a basic income? Where are we going? Where does money start to disappear and time becomes the actual resource rather than dollars and cents? Like, that's where it goes eventually. But basic income is a platform that gets us there, and it's going to cost money. Now, the question now for basic income is okay. Once you implement it, and these experiments in Finland and so on are going to show us this. What actually happens to the cost of things in relation to that? You know, for example, the stimulus package that the Labor government gave us, you know, the whole flat screen TV thing, where they said, oh, here's a flat screen TV for exactly the price of the money that you're getting. Wages will change, rent will change, all these things start getting warped, and the whole framework of the economy starts changing in relation to this. How much do we know about the possibility, or like, you know, the effects of this kind of income, say a $20,000 basic income?
Yeah.
What's going to happen?
Good question.
So, just want to quickly, the thing you're saying in response to James, all great things we've done, landing on the moon. for a long time I was an advocate of an incremental basic income implementation. A little bit, maybe grow, maybe start in an area and grow it out. Then I realised Medicare, NHS, boom, giant multi-billion-dollar things, don't look back. No one wants to get rid of them, right?
No.
Basic income is going to be the same. You would just
Absolutely.
implement it, the country would deal with it, we'll go into debt for a few years, and everyone will be better off for it.
Yes.
I loved realising that. Now, how is a basic income going to affect the economics of the country? I think it's true, right? Yeah. What he said earlier, like, we don't know is the reality, right? Do you want to?
We know things like what you were saying with the NHS or the health system. We know, for example, that introducing a huge age pension system didn't destroy any capitalist country that introduced an age pension system, right? But I think potentially that comes back to the cost, which various people have raised, that this is bigger, like a sort of universal income that you're talking about of 20,000, even if you abolish the 150 billion of other welfare expenditure, it's potentially a much bigger one-time increase in expenditure of, maybe, a 20-30% increase in budgetary outlays. But that's something we can debate down the track. But I don't think you can avoid that just by saying, the cost won't be an issue.